Welcome to the December 3rd, 2024 Board Business Meeting at Memphis-Shelby County Schools. Ms. Clark, please call the roll.
Commissioner McKissick,
Present.
Commissioner Garcia,
Present.
Commissioner Porter,
Present.
Commissioner Murphy,
Present.
Commissioner Love,
Present.
Commissioner McKinney,
Present.
Commissioner Otay,
Present.
Commissioner Williams,
Present.
Board Chair Coleman.
Present.
You have 9 in the affirmative.
Thank you. We do have a quorum. Tonight's posting of the colors are presented by Sheffield High School. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Please remain.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order. Arms. Right. Face. Forward. March. Colors. Halt. Order. Colors. Colors. Forward. Forward. March.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence. In our moment of silence tonight, let's remember the family of Mrs. Askew, a 20-plus year veteran of Whitehaven High School. Also, Son Ism, a member of the district's facility planning team who passed away on Saturday, October the 12th. He was a 6-year member of the district's facility planning team. And also for our student that was killed from South Park, the kindergarten student from South Park Elementary. Thank you. You may be seated. The question now is on the approval of the agenda. Are there any amendments? Superintendent Fagans?
Madam Chair, we will add 12.1, All Memphis SEA Training MOU. We will add item number 12.2, a resolution for TVA donation, and then item number 12.3, Collaborative Conference Administrative Committee.
Board members? I would like to add 3 items. 4.1, the 2024 LEA Compliance Report. 4.2, Charter for Committees. Chair will decide if she wants to like to go forward on committee chairs. Charter for committees. Policy 2001, annual operating budget to extend the suspension of the policy. There being no further amendments to the agenda, is there a motion for the approval of the agenda?
Motion. Second.
Motion by Vice Chair Love.
Something done.
General Counsel Bailey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. 2 additional agenda items I would propose to the board is moving items 12.1 and 12.2 from the request for action to the consent agenda.
Take
12.1 and 12.2.
Madam Chair, these items were discussed at the work session. The completion of the agenda was incorrect, and so the request being made is to ensure that it goes with the additional items on the consent agenda, as the board has already discussed.
I object to a school seat.
I object to school seat.
Yeah, I object to school seat donation.
At what point can I ask a question about why, something, not that, for the budget resolution?
You
Why
may
are we
ask.
ju-
You
okay.
can ask now.
Yeah, my question is why are we getting it just now? We haven't had an opportunity to look at it. Is this something that needs to happen now? It was discussed? Okay, I wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Vice Chair Love, you had a comment or question? Your light was on. Commissioner Williams?
What is the urgency of this, and what will this amendment do? What does it provide for that can't wait?
Will you repeat your question?
What is the urgency of this to be added to what we've already done, and why can't it wait?
John Council Bailey. For the-
What is the urgency? Why now? If we haven't. The business that we are adding to this vote? The consent?
Oh, you're talking about the consent agenda?
Yes.
No, but they want to move one piece, which is the budget, which is normally found on the consent agenda. Yeah. Okay. It probably gets ended up in the wrong spot. It always ends up on the consent agenda.
Okay, that's what confused.
Yeah, because it ain't on the consent agenda.
That we had another conversation.
So all this does is move money?
Board Member Williams, I appreciate your clarity. There is a bit of confusion, so if I can clear it up, I hope so. This isn't new. We discussed this during our board work session. This is required anytime there are moves made. Remember, we shored up the budget anytime we receive grants. In October, once we understood and received our budget from the state, then the team, does what the team does to ensure that all of the dollars match, ensure that we have closed out any grants or anything like that. And so there's nothing new on here tonight that wasn't discussed during the board work session. What took place was a misplacement, if you will, on the part of the agenda that it should belong on. It should go on the consent agenda with the other 11 I think there are about 11 items or so. It should already be on there. This is not a new item. Nothing has changed.
Just for future reference, so that we don't get confused, if it's nothing that's changed, you had it in front of us, so it was like it was a change to it when it was already on the docket, right?
They always print the items for you all.
Okay,
They always print the items for you all.
all right, thank you.
Madam Chair, if I may ask Dr. Schultz a question
Sure.
regarding moving something to the consent agenda, if I'm in support of that, does that not,
We usually hand up by general consent. Unless someone objects to the motion, then there's no reason to vote and go through the formal procedure.
okay,
This is a pretty standard thing. However, there is an objection to moving the school,
school seat.
the school seat, so that will stay where it is.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Actually, if someone makes a motion to move it, it would take a majority vote to move it to the consent agenda.
I'd like to move that we move the school seat item to the consent agenda.
Second. May I ask your reasoning?
I don't have any more questions about it. And we discussed it at length at the board work session.
We still don't have clarity on it.
We can't talk to each other. We can't do that.
So it's moved and seconded to move it to the consent agenda.
I object.
That is available for debate if anyone would like to talk about it.
Yeah, is it up for, Madam Chair, do you mind if I ask
It
Mr.
is
Schultz?
debatable, but debate is limited to the wisdom of moving it to the consent agenda.
Okay, I can debate it then. Okay, thanks.
Commissioner Murphy?
I know, Mr. Schultz asked my question. He said we can debate it in the consent. Okay, I'm ready to debate it.
You can't debate on the consent agenda.
Okay, so I can debate it now. That's what I'm
You can
asking.
debate the wisdom of sending it to the consent agenda now.
Okay, well, I want to debate it now.
Say
And,
what you
and,
want
and
to
the
say.
reason why I want to debate it now, because we still don't have clarity about this check. This check was sent to the board on August 13th. It was deposited on August 14th, but the board did not approve $45,000. And when it was brought to our attention the last meeting, it was stated that Dr. Fagans and Mr. Langston didn't know anything about it previously. And so my question to that is, how could that check have been deposited and the board never approved it? Who did this? We don't have clarity.
If I may speak, Madam Chair, out of a $2 billion budget, and I know when you have an organization this large, yes, a mistake was made, but at $45,000 and that it was a grant check, it just, from what I was satisfied with the explanation that it was simply a mistake that was made. And since the amount is not a large amount, we're appreciative of it, but at $45,000, and we discussed it at length at the work session, I'm okay with moving it to the consent agenda to accept the money. That's what this is about, to graciously, officially say thank you to School Seed for supporting our children in Memphis-Shelby County Schools.
I understand that, but we have to look at this in detail because that was a violation of. I have to be recognized?
You have to be recognized
Again? Okay, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Murphy?
So what I'm saying is I understand where you're coming from, Commissioner, but this is a violation of policy 2019. We have to look at this. It's a policy. We don't violate policy.
Madam Chair, can we call for the vote on whether or not we move it to the consent agenda?
Just 1 second. Commissioner Murphy, I understand, but we need to accept the check and allow Superintendent and her people or her team to deal internally with the situation, and we make sure we do our oversight that it will not happen again. Because we're constantly going back and forth about this, we're not able to approve this check and let it be used for what it needs to be used for.
I understood, but the check already cashed. We'll get a point.
Well,
We got no
it's
space.
not cashed, it was deposited.
Still in there. It's the same.
Okay, we're up for a vote.
The question before the assembly is, shall it be sent to the consent agenda? Do the vote.
Roll call vote.
Commissioner McKissick,
Aye.
Commissioner Garcia,
Aye.
Commissioner Porter,
Aye.
Commissioner Murphy,
No.
Commissioner Love,
No.
Commissioner McKinney,
No.
Commissioner Otay,
Aye.
Commissioner Williams,
No.
Board Chair Coleman.
Aye.
We have 5 in the affirmative and 4 noes in negative.
That motion is adopted. Thank you. We are now on to public comment. In accordance with state statute, the board shall reserve a period for public comment during business and special call meetings. Only those members of the public who submit public comment cards to the board chairman prior to the commencement of this meeting shall be permitted to address the board. Public comments shall be taken in the order in which the public comment cards are received. A sign-up sheet for public comment will be provided 30 minutes prior to each applicable meeting and will be closed at the start of the meeting. This sign-up is located at the entryway table just past the security checkpoint. Speakers must state their name, organization he or she is representing, if any, and subject of their comment before they are permitted to proceed. Speakers may offer objective comments about school operations and programs that concern them. Speakers are asked to refrain from using names of personnel or names of persons connected with the school system, particularly when lodging a complaint. Speakers will not be permitted to engage in gossip, make defamatory comments, or use abusive or vulgar language. The chairman shall have the authority to terminate the remarks of any individual who is disruptive and does not adhere to the board rules. Dr. Schultz will announce the number of speakers and time allowed per speaker.
We have 8 speakers, 3 minutes each.
Your time is projected on the screen to your right and directly behind the board. When you hear a bell, your time has expired. Our first 3 speakers, Vincent McCaskill, Catherine Lachey, and Claudette Boyd.
There we go. My name is Vincent McCaskill. I'm at 2180 Union Avenue, Memphis, Tennessee, representing School Seed Foundation. And I want to first give honor to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, who leads me. I come to you all to talk about spirit of collaboration, the spirit of collaboration. I come because I was a little concerned from the conversation that took place last week regarding the item that got on the consent agenda related to School Seed's role and so forth. And a statement was made publicly by your employee regarding School Seed's operations. And it was stated as if it was fact, when in fact it was not. No one has ever called me to ask, how do we work things at School Seed? My door has always been open. Since 2009, School Seed has been a partner with Memphis-Shelby County Schools, working with every administration with a shared vision, shared goals. For me, it's about the children. And I don't have to go over everything School Seed has worked with the district on, but everything has been about kids. And in our city, we have a very vulnerable population. So I just want to set the record straight, since it was done publicly, and I did follow up with an email to you all. Never got a correction publicly. So I'm publicly letting you all know that what was said last week was absolutely false. Second thing, I come to you all because I want to do things transparently. In September 25th, I received School Seed a letter of intent from your homeless identification and support work. We went through the process, RFP process, and we were notified that we had won the contract. To this date, I have not heard anything back. I did reach out to your procurement department, and they indicated that the board has not approved the homeless identification and support work. This is money that comes from the state, and it is my understanding from the state now that the district will have to forfeit that money, $304,000. I'm about serving the vulnerable population. If there's an issue with School Seed, we would gladly move out of the way so these resources can impact the vulnerable people in our community. We have never, in our 15-year history, been anything other than help and support to Memphis-Shelby County Schools. My question is, why now? Spirit of collaboration. Above all things, get wisdom, and in all thy getting, let's get an understanding.
Start now. Okay, greetings. My name is Catherine Larche. Do I need to give my address or just say my name?
Your address also, please.
Yes, 1010 Hawthorne Street, 38107, Memphis, Tennessee. And I am a substitute teacher for the Shelby County schools. And I've also have been a substitute teacher when it was the Memphis City schools. And then I relocated to Houston and returned back home in 9 or 10, and then I became a substitute teacher again about 2 or 3 years ago with the Shelby County school system, just to give my background. I have been at Douglas for the most part. I've been at several schools, but at Douglas High School for the most part. And they have, I understand they're bringing back the proximity positions back with the teachers. And in there, they have the ESP, or the Education Support Professional, in the classroom. It requires that you have a 4-year college degree to do that position. And I have done actually both, because that position was eliminated this school year. And I'm mainly in one classroom, although I go to different ones when there's a need. And I'm kind of covering both for as a substitute teacher and the ESP, Education Support Professional. So I am asking that the board considers a waiver in the position posted regarding the 4-year degree, and that it may be a waiver in the position to consider your experience, along with it just not being cut and dry for a 4-year degree. So that's what I am asking for consideration. And that's all I believe I have to say, and thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Claudette Boyd. I live at 713 Birthstone Avenue, Memphis, Tennessee. I'm here asking Dr. Richmond and Dr. Fagan for professional accountability and educational support and workshops, long-range plans and all those things for our school at Melrose High School. Some things work, some things don't work. So we're caught up in between what's good and what's bad. So I'm asking that you set up some kind of workshop that we all can come together with a comprehensive plan to make sure that we get achievement, what we want to achieve in our community. We want more accountability. We want our relationship with Melrose High School. We're not separate. We're together. What goes on in Orange Mound goes on in Melrose High School. So you can't separate us. So we need something that we can put together that will make us cohesive. Right now, with the Melrose football team, we happy and we celebrating, we doing all those things. We had 18 young men to come back and give their time and effort and money. Some of them pro players, some of them just, ex-players at Melrose High School, to give their time and their efforts to help us with our young men. And they did a wonderful job, very successful. That made me wonder why we can't do that all the time with every program at Melrose High School. That made me consider. I took a trip to New York City, to Harlem, and I met with the people, the Development Corporation, Harlem Development Corporation, Mr. Curtis Archer. How did y'all develop your Harlem school district? I'm thinking if we can do that in Harlem, we can do that in Orange Mound. Have our Orange Mound school district, where we put forth the effort, all-out effort, between the citizens and the board to work together to improve our school and have more assets. Because right now, I just don't see it happening. I see you, school board, pulling one way, the community pulling another way. We need to come together and be more comprehensive about how we can get this done. If Harlem can do it, we can do it. So they already have a blueprint. We already got things working. Mr. Archer is coming to Memphis. He's going to put on a display, and we're going to try to figure out how Orange Mound, how Melrose High School, how we can do our own Orange Mound school district and work together. Now, we're asking you to do your part, asking you to help us, show us how to do it, because we're interested in getting this done. And with your help, I think we can. Thank you.
Jacob Terzoli, Latasha Griggs, and Rocky Jackson.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Rocky Jackson with ER2, 670 South 4th Street, 38126. I'm just here to express concerns about the 1111 IT bid that we have that's up for consideration. One of my major concerns is just the fact that we feel that one of the vendors has a considerable disadvantage or considerable advantage over the other vendors, being that this vendor was previously the deployment vendor. What that does, just to break it down for you, is being the deployment vendor, that means that every category of device is sent to this vendor's location. Over the course of 3 years, they have all knowledge of how many devices for each different category get ordered. What that does is allows them to go to their distributor and actually put numbers to the quotes that they're trying to get. So if I'm going in to get a quote with my vendor and I have no knowledge of how many of these devices are going to be ordered over a 3-year period, my quote is going to be significantly higher than someone who comes in and says, over a 3-year period, 20,000 of these are going to be ordered. 15,000 of these are going to be ordered. 4,000 of these are going to be ordered. When you can put quantities to those devices, that encourages your distributor to give you a much greater price break. That is a huge concern, being that my company, for one, we've only won one device since I've been involved in this bid, which only gives me knowledge of one particular device, and it's a device that's not ordered as often as student laptops, teacher laptops, etc. One of my other concerns in this situation is I feel like local vendors are kind of being ousted. We're setting a new precedent by putting a large corporation into this pool with the smaller vendors. These larger corporations are coming in. They're not planting money trees in our communities. They're not donating shoes as I do to athletic teams. They're not, one of the principals is in here now that can attest that I just read to her elementary school students last Friday. We brought in lunches for her teachers. Local vendors are making an investment and utilizing these opportunities. When we have the larger vendors that come in, have greater buying power, they're still in relationships. We have a vendor here who is actually working with one of the distributors that this particular company is working with, and they've come in and ousted this vendor who has built relationships for years and years with this particular manufacturer. Now, this vendor comes in with the buying power. They come in and say, hey, we can take this opportunity. They undercut the pricing. Now they have that opportunity. I just feel like this is a scary precedent for us to set, being that we have an initiative to work with local minority vendors in this city, but now we're bringing in these larger corporations to take these opportunities away from us. And where does that leave us at the end of the day? It leaves us, well, I think this encourages other large corporations, the Best Buys, the CDWs, to also come in and do the same thing and follow that trend. That's my 2 cents. Thank y'all for listening.
Is Jacob Terzoli?
Hello, thank you everybody. My name is Jacob Terzoli. I'm from Ari Jones Educational Solutions. My company has had the pleasure of supporting the district over the past 3 years, and we have been loyal to the district. We operate locally, and our offices and warehouses are located in Shelby County. The majority of our amazing employees and staff that work with our Memphis facility are alumni of the Mscs school and the local colleges and universities in the Shelby County district. Over these past 3 years, as a trusted partner to the district, we've been excited to support and give back to the district whenever possible. In the past 3 years, we have helped to deploy over 50,000 devices to all the schools throughout the district. And this past Um, and in this past May, we actually participated in a sponsored portion of the Tech Explosion event, which focuses on the growth of students, awareness, and familiarity with the latest technology trends. In addition to this, we have also offered to donate technology equipment to some of the newer school openings like Caldwell Guthrie STEM School that recently reopened at the start of this school year. And as a local vendor, we are committed to continue providing that best technology and services to help enhance student learning outcomes within MSCS. Just wanted to say that we are very thankful for the opportunity to be a vendor for the district, and it has been a pleasure supporting Memphis-Shelby County Schools. I'm actually looking forward to continue growing and strengthening our partnership with the district, and again, this past 3 years has been amazing. So thank you guys.
Good evening. My name is Latasha Griggs.
Can you step up to the mic, please?
My name is Latasha Griggs.
Thank you.
How you doing? I'm gonna keep it simple. As a parent, I feel
Miss Griggs, can we have your address?
1091 Bama.
Thank you.
You're welcome. As a parent, I feel like in the 38107 zip code, I think that we need ACT workshops in that area because those kids over there in that area needs it. You know, they get help here and there, but they need the workshop. You know, you hear about the grades, the reading, the literacy, but they need the help with the workshop. You know, we need it over there. 38107 zip code, they need that help. They do. Now, that's all I want to say on that. And on the other side, of the flip side, I want to say happy holidays. I ain't want to be mean this year. I want to take it out saying happy holidays. Because last time I was up here, I was kind of heated with y'all. So I wanted to say happy holidays, and y'all have a nice one.
Happy holidays to you. Thank you so much. It feels good to be spoken nicely to. We appreciate you. Now don't come in January fussing at us. We love you. We love you. Daryl Thomas. And our last speaker, Damian Curry Morris.
Happy holidays, board members, superintendent. I'm Daryl Thomas, founder and CEO of Thomas Consultants, a firm I founded here in Memphis. We're located at 4140 East Range Road, Memphis, Tennessee, 38118. Been in business since 1986. I'm a product of legacy Memphis City Schools, educated here. All of my employees own property here. We pay property taxes in Memphis and Shelby County. We have had the privilege of being Shelby County Schools provider of HP computers, and I'm here speaking against item 11.11 tonight. We provided probably over 50,000 computers to the district over the years. During the COVID, we provided HP devices. You all bought 98,000 devices then, a mixture of Microsoft and HP, and we were fortunate to provide the HP, and we've done that over the years. Recently, and you know, in the words of the great philosopher and theologian James Brown, I don't want you to give me nothing. Just open the door, I'll get it myself. I don't want handouts, but this particular bid it's not a level playing field. I can compete. We have competed a long time. We have the state of Tennessee contract providing HP devices, but this company from California was allowed to come in here. Because they're the deployment vendor, they have an economic advantage, and I'm gonna just make up a number for a second. Let's say you give me $50 a device to install them. If you allow me to bid on selling the devices that I install as well, I got a $50 advantage over all of my competitors. And that's what's happening here. The carts that you all are buying, we introduced the carts to the district. Because I have to ship them to that company from California, they knew where I was getting them. They called that company. I have the best pricing. You know they beat me by $1. $1. This is a $20 million contract. That should stay here. We do good business here. Not asking for handouts. You notice I didn't say I'm a black company. I'm a company. I just happen to be black. And we do good business here. But it is so unfair to give someone an economic advantage over your locally owned businesses. And we can't compete with that. I beat giants all the time. But this was an unfair advantage, and I tried to meet with, before it even happened, I told them what the results would be, and it came out just like that. We're next in line. But I would think our business means more than $1 on the carts. $1. The only reason they could do it because they were the deployment vendor. You shouldn't be allowed to have both contracts. Thank you.
Oh, y'all giving me 3 minutes a night. Okay, big mistake. But anyway, I am Professor Damon Curry Morris, 1529 Dunmore Road. You all, I just want to start by saying, I think the last time I was here, the new board hadn't been set yet, but I think the superintendent was here. So I just want to welcome you all to Memphis and Shelby County Schools. You all, you tired yet? I just asked one board member that. I want to sit here and talk about the virtual teachers. I understand that that could possibly create some more jobs, but I think we need to think about, I think everybody's forgot about COVID, okay, and the impact that it had, and the third grade retention law that followed, okay, that we fought so hard for up in Nashville. So I think a little bit more research needs to be done as far as that impact, because what we don't want to do is that we don't want to go backwards, okay? Because that third grade retention law is still in effect. They finna add some more to it. We got these vouchers that are possibly coming, and you all, I don't know what your political affiliation is, but it doesn't matter in that point, because we about to embark on the biggest attack on our public education system coming all the way from Washington, D.C. And we got to get ready for that. We got to come out these backdoor meetings. We got to come out of folks' pockets. We got to come out of our emotions and think logically about the future of education, not only in this county, in this state, okay, and across this country. And you all got to be ready for that fight. Okay, we don't need to bring politics into this when our children's future are at stake. And we're talking about college, career, technology, all of these things that we've been talking about for years. Board members, I implore you, and Superintendent Figures, I'm not trying to tell you how to do your job, but a little bit more research and personal feelings need to come out of this for the future of our children in this county, you all, because Memphis and Shelby County is doomed to repeat history if we don't get ourselves together. Thank you all. I appreciate you all, and may God bless all of you all on your endeavors for today.
Thank you. We are now on to committee reports, 8.1 board chairs report. And at this time, I ask my colleagues if you go down front so we can recognize. Oh, I'm sorry. That's not on my.
Yep. Questions on the minutes.
I'm sorry, I didn't have that. We are now on to the approval of the minutes from the October the 22nd, 2024 business meeting. The October the 15th business meeting, that's wrong. October 15th work session. Yeah. That's what I read. It's not on my paper though.
Okay. Our paper's different.
May I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner McKissick,
Aye.
Commissioner Garcia,
Aye.
Commissioner Porter, Commissioner Murphy,
Oh, aye.
Commissioner Love, Commissioner McKinney,
Aye.
Commissioner Otay,
Aye.
Commissioner Williams,
Aye.
Board Chair Coleman.
Aye.
You have 7 in the affirmative.
That motion passes. We are now on to committee reports.
Do we have some recognition?
We're now on to superintendent's recognition of grants, gifts, and donations. We're in the hands of superintendent.
Chair, Board, tonight we recognize first Mr. Cedric Turner. He's the president of Global Mid-South Corporation, a leading restaurant and real estate development company. When we think about the impact of partnerships and what it means to really stand in the gap for our students and families, Mr. Cedric Turner is certainly one of our phenomenal partners that we highlight this evening. Tonight, we recognize Mr. Turner for adopting 25 schools in Memphis-Shelby County School District. Mr. Turner. Mr. Turner? Mr. Turner has earned a reputation for his exceptional leadership and visionary approach. Come forward, Mr. Turner, if you will. If you'll come join us in the center here. He's a proud alumnus of Tennessee State University, graduated with a Bachelor of Business Administration degree. He's a member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated and a past member of the renowned Tennessee State University Aristocrat of Bands. Mr. Turner, we thank you and we salute you for your service and your commitment and dedication to Memphis-Shelby County Schools. During our board work session, we celebrated schools that achieved a TVOS level 5, but this week tonight we recognize and celebrate those schools that made progression from a level 1 to level 5. And so we've asked principals and any staff from these schools to join us this evening, if you will come to the front as well, as this is a tremendous accomplishment and we want to honor them tonight. American Way Middle School, Compass Community School, Orange Mound Campus, Dexter School, Freedom Prep, Park Rose, Hamilton School, Hickory Ridge Elementary, KIPP Memphis Collegiate High School, Lawrence Elementary Middle, Sherwood Middle, Southwind High School, Treadwell Middle School, Westside Elementary School, and Willow Oaks Elementary School from a level 1 to a level 5. Congratulations, staff. We appreciate you for all of your hard work. And we give a huge round of applause for all of the staff who stayed with us tonight after a long, hard days of work. Thank you for your commitment.
We're now moving ahead. Under the chair's report tonight, we would like to wish a very special young lady a very happy birthday. When you go up on the 3rd floor, if you do not pass Miss Karen Waters, you're missing a treat. Come up, Kara.
Excuse me for 1 second. We have one more birthday. Hit it, Yolanda.
I was too late. Happy birthday.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Joyce and Karen. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you so very much. Thank you. Yeah, I know it does not take much to make me cry. Okay, we are now on to, thank you, Dr. Schultz. On behalf of Karen, we thank you.
Happy birthday.
That's what I'm doing now. We are now on to committee reports, the board chair's report, And first, we want to do our recognition. So I'm asking all board members that have someone to recognize to go down front. We're going to do this quickly because we've been given a time frame if we can meet it. We're not going to meet it, but commission, all board members go down front. She gonna do what? She gonna do what? Okay. Here you go. I got the names here. Our first recognition will be from Vice Chair Love. She would like to recognize EEG, the volleyball team, for being undefeated in area play. Area champ. Area champions, sectional champions, and state championship appearance. The coaches for EEG are Michelle Barger and Elise Perkins. The principal is one of my sons, Principal Newsom. The manager is Sky Garcia. The players are Taylor Lockett, Hope Webb, Maddie Masters, Gabby Cano, Peyton Gibson, Chastity Hobson, Zoe Cano, Joy Perkins, Joy True, Naomi Tucker, and Lori Lee Harvey, and Janice Says. I'm sorry if I said it wrong.
Are we on? Yes. Thank you all for allowing us to be here tonight. Thank you, Dr. Fagans. And I really want to give a shout out to Stephanie Love. Since I have been the athletic director at EE she has supported us vocally, socially, financially. And we don't have very many businesses around where our school is. So we really appreciate all your support for athletics at EE Thank you so much. Appreciate you. And I don't know if you can hear or not, but these girls right here have worked so hard to get in the position that they were this year. We're the first MSCS middle school team to make it to the state tournament. And I want to thank Mr. Newsom, our principal, for all his support this year. Elise Perkins, my assistant coach, thank you for all your hard work. And especially these girls, they deserve this honor and everything that they have done. I'm not an easy coach to be working this hard for, but I love them, and they love each other too. We've had a wonderful season, and I thank you girls for all of your hard work and effort this year. Congratulations.
Next, Vice Chair Love would like to recognize yeah, no, they're not here. I'm just gonna call her name. Vice Chair would also like to recognize Memphis Business Academy middle school football team for being the 4-time district champions 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024. 3-time MSCIAA city champions and 3 times TMSAA state champions. They are not present with us today due to a schedule they had to be away. Commissioner Garcia. At this time, we would ask if Tyron Golden would come forward. Let me tell you all a little bit about Tyron. Tyron struggled with both academics and behavior at the beginning of his 4th grade school year. Over the year, he developed a close relationship with one of his teachers who saw beyond the person he was trying to portray, held him accountable, and pushed him to reach his full potential. As a result, Tyron excelled both academically and personally, rising to pass the 4th grade TCAP test. This year, he was inducted into the brand new Beta Club, is a leader inside and outside of the classroom, and is an all-around exceptional young man. We are proud of his accomplishments and can't wait to see what the future holds for him. Let's give it up for Tyron tonight, please. And we thank his parents for being role models for him. Commissioner Murphy would like to recognize Principal Blanchard, we call him Principal D, of Hamilton High School, and Principal Sawyer Moore of Invictus High School, Invictus School. If either or both of them are here, if they'll come forward. Principal Moore. At Invictus, Principal Moore has dedicated an entire wing of the Invictus School for mothers with children. So they don't have to miss school. They can have their babies at school with them. And we thank her for that. Invictus, Airway. Who? Okay. Okay. Next we have Commissioner Otay. We have Dr. Tanya Miller from Cordova Elementary. This is her 9th year as a principal. She's been with the district for 24 years. She has a record of a continuous increase in student enrollment. And she's known for sustaining and supporting positive school culture for students, parents, and staff. Most recently moved Cordova from a level 1 to a level 3 school. Let's give it up for her. The band is not here with us tonight, but we want to recognize Craigmont High School Band for winning the Bayou Classic. You know, we talked about them a couple of months ago. They were a part. So we want to recognize Craigmont High School.
At some point in time, I may ask them to come and actually show us their stuff.
Yeah. We'll look forward to it. Mr. Freddie McWilliams is not with us today. Or he is. I'm sorry. Mr. Freddie, I do apologize. Mr. Freddie McWilliams is from Savvy Innovations Technology Solutions, and he donated turkeys for our schools during the holiday season. And we want to thank him for donating the turkeys to us. We were able to help feed families. Two more quick things. Thank you. Words cannot express how deeply we appreciate all of the love, kindness, and support shown to us during this difficult time. It will always be remembered by the family of Joyce and Walton Lindsay. Everyone knew Miss Lindsay, forever in our hearts, and we support the family. And the last thing I want to say. Well, I have two things. I ask that you all keep my family in your prayers. Some people know my husband's brother transitioned, so we are preparing for that funeral. And the other one is, let's remember 3 amazing schools that we have in Memphis-Shelby County. Houston High School, Mace, and the Melrose High School will be all going to play for the state championship on this weekend. We pray for a safe journey for all of those that are traveling, that our young men go, and this is an enjoyable experience for all of them. Did I tell y'all the Melrose High School is playing for the state champions? I'm going to say it one more time, then I'm going to let Superintendent loose. The Melrose High School is playing for the state championship on this Saturday at 11 a.m. So we thank you for your support. Superintendent? It's not. Academic performance and committee report.
No report.
Budget, audit, and finance committee report.
Thank you, Coleman. Colleagues, tonight I want to share a couple of documents that are in front of you for your review. One is the budget calendar fiscal year 2025 through 2026. Given that I think we brought it to the attention that some of the community meetings would be on with less than a week's notice. We did adjust those for January for public budget meetings having different times of day, which I think commissioners also mentioned, a morning, evening, and midday. Our board retreat, so the public also seeing this as well, is January 10th through the 11th. So there, I have asked for us to have an in-depth what is currently in the budget so we can have that conversation and know what is our baseline as we provide input and then look at the metrics around the things that we are investing in. And then just adjusting all the dates that followed thereafter and clarifying when there are internal meetings just so you can see all the processes that are happening. Co-chair Porter and I provided feedback on the community engagement parent and staff survey. I think I just see the parent survey here though. So if you have any feedback on questions, there's 2 surveys. Oh, I'm missing one, sorry. If you have any feedback on these survey questions, please let me know, or please let our budget team know. And I'm happy to take any emails that you have or any written feedback that you have about what you want to see in the budget. But during tonight's committee, I did just want to give us 5 to 10 minutes to hear from you. What do you want to see in the budget? What are what is feedback that you're hearing from constituents, teachers, staff, without attaching a dollar amount to it tonight, knowing that we want to review efficacy of anything that we're investing in. Is there anything that you want to share as to get some early thoughts going into this budget development? So I'll open it up to my colleagues.
We can't do it.
Well, I asked that. If discussion can't happen here, we can, or no comments? Okay.
Yeah, we at our January committee meeting, if you'll send it out and everybody have their questions ready for you at the January committee meeting. We'll
Okay.
dedicate extra time.
Okay.
Okay?
We will do that. Thank
Okay.
you.
That's okay. Charter Schools Committee report.
The Charter Partnership Council will be meeting next Tuesday, December 10th at 11 a.m. at the Teaching Learning Academy.
Thank you. Community Outreach and Engagement Committee report.
No report.
Evaluation Committee report. No report. Policy, Governance, and Legislation Committee report.
I'll speak on behalf of legislative unless Ms. Love. I defer.
All policies are on the agenda.
And Madam Chair, as far as the Legislative Committee, we presented to our state legislators earlier this month, or actually in November, at the end of November, and all the legislative agenda items are on the agenda tonight.
Procurement Committee.
All items are on the agenda.
General Counsel report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, Board. I would like to briefly speak to what's been added to the agenda as Board Item 12.6. It's the 2024 LEA Compliance Report. And just to give you all a little background on what that is and why we're submitting it for your consideration this evening. Every year, all school districts in the state are required to complete the LEA Compliance Report and submit their findings to the Tennessee Department of Education. The report evaluates the district's compliance with applicable federal and state education laws, as well as rules set by the State Board of Education. When filling out the report, school districts must either confirm compliance with all federal and state education laws and SPE rules or indicate compliance with exceptions. If there are any areas of noncompliance identified, the report must include a corrective action plan. The report before you tonight identifies 4 such areas of noncompliance with the requisite corrective action plans. And the report is before you tonight for approval and submission to the state. The report will need to be submitted tomorrow. That's all I have.
Commissioner Love, Vice Chair Love, I'm sorry.
When did you get the report?
The report was completed just before the holiday break. It was submitted to all the senior leaders, I think across 10 different departments. All in all, I think there were about 546 total compliance areas that needed to be reported back on. So we did need to receive feedback from all the different areas before they compiled in this comprehensive report that was submitted for approval.
You have the corrective action plan?
Yes, ma'am. They are included in the report. Again, there were 4 items that were identified, areas of noncompliance, and there is a corrective action plan included for all 4 of those.
This plan is going to go into effect tomorrow?
Well, the report will need to be submitted to the state tomorrow, but the plans will go into effect ASAP. I mean,
And who is going to be monitoring the plan?
well, it would be up to the district to make sure that we're in compliance. But again, this report will be submitted to the state, but we will be monitoring the progress from our compliance team.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Now we're on to the superintendent's report.
Madam Chair, Board, tonight's report just includes the commitment of a real estate plan. And so you have it hard copy before you, and then it's also displayed on the screen. And so essentially, we've just taken our vacant properties. So what you see on the first page are our vacant buildings, listed in no order other than alphabetical order. We've provided all the information that we have available to us, the address, the year that it was built, how long it's been vacant, the capacity, acres, square feet, and then the most recent appraisal value, and as well as the last appraisal date, so that we are just transparent that we have not, done any of this like recently, but that was the last appraisal amount per that date. And then our consideration in terms of what we're thinking about the buildings. For all of them, you can see it, we're accepting offers through June 30th of 2025. And if we do not receive offers, we've just tried to demonstrate what our next action would be. And based on the status of most of these buildings, we would demolish. The immediate next step is to advertise, to make this plan public, so that this is effective tomorrow and open, for, in short words, for business, for the public to review, and if there's any interest, to begin touring and following the process. On page 2, you can see our vacant land. And what we believe, we have held some of our land in terms of some of our prime property, but this land, you can see what the land location was, a former church or whatever it may have been in recent years, the address, the acreage, the most recent Shelby County assessor, or the estimated value. You see the last assessment or the estimate date. And then you see the district's consideration, and you see that we're just accepting offers here. We've also provided the annual grounds maintenance cost, and then our next steps here are also to advertise. The final page are occupied facilities and then the status of those facilities. And so just to consider a space of transparency, we are in current negotiations or offers with these, but of course anything could happen. And so we did want to just list, but also provide the current status of what is happening. Humes, Riverview Elementary, Northwest Prep, and then Knight Road School. And so we don't want to signal that something is wrong. We just want to state that these are current offers that are occupied facilities, but we are in negotiation. And then we provided the applicable policy and laws. Essentially, this is just the real estate policy for the board, just so everyone is clear about just how the process kind of works. And then the Tennessee Code annotated, essentially that charter schools have the first right of refusal to any of our properties. And so we just wanted to be clear in terms of the state's law and guidance, and then certainly our district policy. The extended portion of this just says the process. Just call, Tiffany Bracey if you want a tour, and then the next steps. That's our real estate plan. It would be effective tomorrow. I want to be clear that this is not the master facilities plan, so it's not confused of our 200 spaces that the third party Veritas completed the assessment. That is separate. This real estate plan just gives what's available in terms of our vacant properties and land, and how we are accepting business and offers accordingly. We'll be back to the board first individually to talk about recommendations that the administration plans to make or is considering for each individual property, whether it's going to be a renovation, an addition, even if it's programmatic shifts for schools. We plan to share all plans for facilities. And so just want to be clear with the board and the public that this is not just about repurposing or demolishing. This is about our general master plan for every facility, so that each district and community can see our future plans for their spaces as we think about a bold future and a way forward. Those conversations internally have started with administration. We've been looking and peeling our eyes to just make good recommendations to board members before we take it to the public to get community conversations started and feedback. Before doing that, we will share a plan so that you can see each date comparable to the budget plan that you see here. We will complete just one comprehensive timeline. As you can tell, these will start to overlap for our facilities plan and community conversations there, and then our conversations for the budget, and then our conversations after the strategic plan is approved. We have to begin rolling that out, and so we'll just create one massive timeline and communications plan. Madam Chair, that completes my report.
Thank you, Superintendent. New board business policy. I'm sorry. Commissioner Hewitt Garcia, Commissioner McKinney, Commissioner Vice Chair Love.
Yeah, I had a question about, these are open through June, so I'm just pulling one off the list as an example. Say Corning Elementary. Is there like a bidding process where somebody may submit, I'm willing to pay up to X amount of dollars, or like, what if there are multiple competing bids? How do they have opportunities to go back and forth, or is it just submit your best offer? Like,
essentially, you submit your best offer, and then the team takes a look at the offers, makes recommendation of what should be considered, just based on what we think we can get, what we should get. If we don't get anything, just considering business and overall cost of demolition, which is quite expensive, and so.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Superintendent. I have a question about the schools that are occupied facilities. Are these all of the occupied facilities that we can be contemplating at this moment in time in terms of possibility of selling?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. This has to do with, this is the most appropriate place I can see it. I have a question about the $304,000 that we heard was forfeited for the, for the homeless students. Is that accurate? Do we have access to those dollars?
Yes.
We do have access to
Yes.
those dollars. How?
It's not specifically earmarked for houselessness, so I want to state that.
I think the question
The funds are through leftover monies, and so it's still accessible to us.
So we can access those dollars.
Yes.
Irrespective for what, but we can
Yes.
access those dollars.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Vice Chair Love.
Natalie asked my question.
Commissioner Otay. Commissioner Otay.
Chair, Superintendent, I just had a question. Since she mentioned that, I just wanted to get clarity. Did we accept the funds? Because it seemed like in the comments, he said we did not accept the funds. We have access to the funds? I just want to get clarity.
Are we talking about the same? She's talking about 304,000. We didn't have to accept those. That's leftover. These are ESSER funds. These are leftover. Which funds? ARP COVID. Yes. So these are still COVID funds. This is not something that we had to accept. I think you're thinking about the check. Okay, so
I
yeah,
wasn't thinking about the check. I was thinking about the comment that was made by Mr. Vincent with us not partnering, taking up the opportunity for that 304,000.
that doesn't. I'm saying we have the funds. How we use the funds, I think, is not what you're asking. But we're not having to accept the funds in terms of your specific question.
Gotcha. Okay.
Commissioner Hewitt Garcia.
what's the cost to demolish a building?
About $500,000. Easily. Which is why I shared we would be entertaining, offers that, as long as they are reasonable.
Commissioner Williams.
I had several calls from vendors this week, and the process for winning bids in this district, particularly for janitorial services and for those computer services that we've heard about tonight, is there anything in the process that gives local vendors any preference as opposed to going to California or out of this country to get the same services? And that's what I have been told by many of the vendors who live in Memphis, that they have a very difficult time competing, particularly with those folk who say they can do it better and cheaper, but we get no fringes from it, no any employment or anything else, no taxes or anything. They live in other places besides Memphis. So my question is there any preference given or anything that you look for or you invite for local vendors to competitively compete with vacancies, whether it is in cleaning up buildings, whatever it is, services. One guy was computer services. I think he spoke tonight, but do we have any preference that we give to our own, is the question. Anybody can answer.
So I am going to defer. As superintendent, I don't get into the processes of reviewing, submitting RFPs. I don't see anything until it's complete. And so I'm going to defer to either Mr. Langston or General Counsel because they entertain those conversations.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent, board members. So as it relates to the procurement process, I think we kind of talked about this at the work session. So it just depends on what the bid format is. So there's a number of different bids that you can do. It also, we have an Office of Economic Opportunity as well. So our Office of Economic Opportunity, depending on what the bid is, they set a goal for certain projects. What I can also tell you is that typically they don't set a goal for projects that we're using federal dollars for, because under the federal rule, it is not, you can't give a preference to any vendor. It is the best fiduciary opportunity of the district to use the fund. So for instance, as I mentioned last time, as it relates to the information for bid, per law, you go with the lowest and best price. And again, if the Office of Economic Opportunity sees fit and they ask every department who's doing the bid, what funding source are you using? But again, if you're using a federal funding source, they won't set a goal. So again, and maybe Council Bailey can talk more about it, but our Office of Economic Opportunity, they set goals on particular bids that we do. But again, depending on what we're buying and going out for bid for, what I can tell you is particularly for an RFP, if we're doing the general fund and not federal funds, there usually is a 5% local preference. So if a local vendor is bidding on a award for an RFP and it's not using federal dollars, they get a 5% local preference towards their score. But particularly if you want to talk about computers in this instance, it's the law that if it's an IFB invitation for bid, that it's the best and lowest price.
How many vendors do we have in the janitorial services outside of who operate or live outside of Shelby County?
I can't say how many we have. I mean, there's a lot of local vendors who do janitorial services.
No, I mean, how many do we contract with? We know how many we contract with, don't we?
How many we currently contract? Currently,
for janitorial services outside of the city of Memphis.
Outside
the company would be. I know you have one who's in Knoxville. I know that. Yeah. I just want to know, how many do you have who provide cleaning services? As a matter of fact, we had one vendor to not pay for so long, I guess last month or so. That was on the news. That's how I learned about it. But the workers were not being paid, and the district did absorb that. So I just want to know how many vendors operate in the cleaning services who live and operate and spend their money outside of Shelby County.
As it currently relates to what we have in place now, we only have one vendor that wasn't given a local preference as it relates to the contract.
How did they get it then? They had the best bid?
No. So again, if we're sticking with the last custodial bid that we did that's in place currently, it was awarded based on scoring. So as a part of the scoring, particularly for custodial, the Office of Economic Opportunity sets a goal for local preference, or if you will. So in that particular bid for custodial services, while this company that's outside of Memphis, they still was awarded the contract. They just want the highest bidder because they didn't get a local preference. It doesn't mean that they can't work with us. It just means their portion of the scoring of the RFP, they wouldn't get a local preference points for that. The ones who are locally here, they'll get extra points, if you will, towards the scoring for a local preference in the bid, if we're talking particularly about custodial right now.
Well, how do they get preferences? What is the preference they get?
It's usually, and I don't have it right in front of me, but so if I can explain how the scoring works for an RFP, and again, we're sticking with RFP, let's just stick with custodial. Usually in the RFP, separate from an IFB, there is a rubric set. The rubric can be set up based on pricing, it can be based on performance, it can be based on the ability to do the work, and then and you also can get a local preference for companies who work here. Again, so if you're a local vendor, you're going to get around 5% or so towards your scoring. Again, there's another 95% that you have to be scoring on as well. If you're not locally here, you won't get that 5% scoring, if that makes sense.
What is the name of the company where the employees were not paid for the past, at the ending of the school year, so many months, and we had to absorb? Which company was that?
I won't name vendors here. They've been terminated. General Counsel, if you would name them, I won't name vendors here.
They've been terminated?
The contract has been terminated since, yes.
Where were they from?
They were locally from here.
Hope that you would do a better job of hiring people who pay taxes and live in Memphis and Shelby County, as opposed to those who live in Knoxville in California. I do not think that they would have the same interest in absorbing the cleanliness of the school or the dedication to it than those citizens who live in Shelby County.
Superintendent, I'm going to ask that at our January committee meeting that the procurement process is explained in great detail to us. Everybody that's a part, don't leave anybody out, that should be coming to us to explain this, because it's like every time, no, not every year, every time we get less information about the process, or the information is not being distributed as it should. So if we don't do anything but talk about budget and about the procurement process in our committee meeting, we want detailed. Yes, somebody,
just
no disrespect, explain it all, the
from
whole
A to Z.
process.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Sure.
Commissioner Love, Vice Chair Love, Commissioner Murphy, Commissioner Otay.
Going back to school seed, an RFP was put out.
Yes.
And who responded to that RFP?
Team.
Vince McCaskill said he was the only one who responded to it, and he won the bid.
So, Madam Superintendent, if I can, so again, as Chair Coleman mentioned, I think it would be a great opportunity for us to talk about the procurement process. But Chair Coleman, the only thing I want to give you is that we could talk about the process. We can't give names of people who was on the scoring committees and things like that, because obviously that gets into a deal. But Board Member Love, to your question around how bids typically work, as a district, we have the right to put out a bid for services. We also have a right to score the bid. We also have a right to do an intent to award for the bid.
Tito.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't want to know the process. If you could answer the question, who won the bid?
I would, particularly on that bid, I would have to take a look at that bid. I don't have it in front of me. I would have to take a look at the bid to see what was put out, who won it, who did such, and so on and so forth.
If I'm looking at a letter.
Commissioner Murphy, then Commissioner McKinney.
2 quick questions. What custodial service violated the procurement agreement?
We are not on.
We just flipped from procurement to Stephanie's question.
We have, hold on, we're going to get to that, okay? Okay, thank you. Commissioner Otey, I'm sorry, Commissioner McKinney, and then Commissioner Otey.
So help me to understand. I have a letter here, September 25th, 2004, from Procurement Services. Letter of intent to award for RFP, the number homeless identification and emergency support. Essentially, it states that this is a letter of intent to award to School Seed. And it's in the amount, it then says if an agreement is required, which it would be because it's $250,000, so it's over the $100,000 minimum or maximum. The recommendation will be submitted to General Counsel's Office for contract preparation. MCS will move forward with the award upon approval, which may include full execution of a contract and approval of the board. At the next scheduled board meeting session, should the dollar amount total be $100,000 or more. So I note that it does say, please note that this notice of intent to award is not intended to create rights, interests, or claims of entitlement in any recipient of this notice. But I would like you to pay attention to the language that says, if an agreement is required, which it would be, the recommendation will be submitted. And so my question, I guess we're having is, did it get submitted to the General Counsel, Superintendent?
That's for the.
That's for C. Yeah.
I did.
So, I guess to answer your question about whether a contract was ever left our office for this, no, it did not, and it was not submitted for drafting.
Thank you.
Commissioner Otey. Commissioner Otey.
Thank you, Chair, Superintendent. Okay, so I'm going to have a follow-up question to that. But the question I want to ask, we talk about, I heard Tito mention we have extra points for local preference. But is that specifically for specific contracts? Because I heard a couple of complaints about local vendors. Then I heard that we do have local preference. So I just was taking notes, and I just wanted to get clarity. I think all of us want to probably get clarity on that, too.
Is local preference reserved for certain contracts? Is that the question? I think local preference is on every scorecard, correct? It's not on every scorecard? Let me defer so that you can share a bit additional information with an understanding that it is obvious that we need to bring this as a clear explanation for all, including myself, to understand the process from A to Z.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent, board members. So take contracts. Contracts is down the line. Let's talk about bids. So our Office of Economic Opportunity, they are the ones who set a NWB goal or a local preference goal, depending on the bid. Certain bids, again, we can talk about it in depth in committee, will have a local preference. Others will not. But again, it's set by our Office of Economic Opportunity. As I also mentioned before, when we're using federal dollars, because there's direct regulations on federal dollars, there isn't a preference. You have to go by, you have a fiduciary responsibility to use to have the best interest of the dollars that you're using from the federal government. So as a superintendent mentioned, I think Chair Coleman mentioned, I think it'll go a long way for us to have a lengthy conversation about just the bid process to strengthen everyone's knowledge. But Board Member Ote, if I answered your question, it just depends on the bid, and it depends on the certain bid, and then it also depends on whether or not what funding source we're using. So again, if we're using the general funds, which is funds that come from Shelby County, state of Tennessee, then we have an opportunity if it's a request for a proposal. But if we're using federal funding, there is no local preference for federal funding, because the federal government says that you have a fiduciary responsibility to go with the best possible, one of the options, depending on the bid, to go with the best possible pricing.
Okay, if I might make a suggestion, since we're going to be bringing this up next couple board meetings, if we could look into making changes so that we can be more equitable across the board in other areas, and then we get more clarity on, I did hear you say the federal dollars, and it's absolutely only for the lowest bidder, absolutely. For goods and not services. Okay, okay. I just want to get clarity around that, because like I said, when the statement was made regarding that, I wrote that down, and we just had 2 people locally speaking regarding that, and I just wanted to just get understanding on why there was no local preference, or if there was for that specifically, and not for this.
Gotcha.
If that makes sense.
So again, as I mentioned before, on the invitation for bid, there's a direct law for invitation for bid. As I mentioned before, when there's the process for the invitation for bid when you're doing goods, particularly around computers. First of all, it's a sealed bid process, which means that nobody sees the pricing until everybody sees the pricing. That's number one. Number two, there's a law that says you have to go with the lowest best offer. It's the law. There's no local preference that's given. When there's an opportunity to give local preference, we always do. We always do. It's part of the scoring when there's an opportunity. And again, we can talk more at length next committee about when that opportunity is. I think Board Member McKinney asked if there's an opportunity to do that certain bid that gives a local preference. And again, we could talk about what we go out for bid for, and then what's our best interest, to what bid solicitation should we use to go out for their best interest. But typically, the law says for goods, particularly on computers, you do an invitation for bid, and their process is by law says the lowest and best offer.
Thank you. Commissioner McKissick.
I have one more addition. I was just going to ask if I might, Superintendent, for our next meeting, we can have those documents in front of us. And then the second part of the question was, well, since she asked her question, it yielded me to ask one more. Was there a reason why we didn't, the letter of intent to award School C, is there a reason why we didn't give it to them? Like, since they received they actually, I guess, won the bid. It says a letter of intent to award. I mean, they didn't get the award. So I just want to get clarity on that. I know you were trying to explain it to me.
Yeah, let me take a look at it. What I was sharing with you in terms of a point of clarification and correction for the record is that the money, the $304,000 or the specific amount, is reserved for homelessness, for houselessness. It is not something that we need to receive. It is ARP dollars that already exist. It does not come from a specific vendor. It's not relegated or dedicated or associated to a specific vendor. So I just wanted to state that correction on the record. In terms of your specific question, why didn't we move forward with this? Let me take a look at it, and I can circle to the board.
Commissioner McKissick.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to move that we move the discussion along. We're going to get into a very granular, detailed discussion of it. It seems that an upcoming committee meeting, and since this is not formally on the agenda, if we could focus on the items of the agenda of the meeting tonight.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes. You good?
I agree. As long as the money, homeless, as long as the money is here with the board and it doesn't go away.
Everybody's great. No more lights. Proposed policies, first reading. If you'll just explain what they are, we don't have to take any actions tonight.
Can you hear me? Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, Commissioners and Madam Superintendent. We have 6 policies for first reading tonight. The proposed revisions align with statutory and regulatory requirements, and we presented these during the November 10th Policy Committee meeting. The revisions are in alignment with changes to state law, state board rule, or state board policy. Policy 5013, promotion and retention. The revisions align policy with state law to include required tutoring for grades K through 3 for retained students, a provision for voluntary retention for grades K through 2, provision for a school with parental consent to file a state board appeal on behalf of a retained 3rd grade approaching student. Also, the proposed revisions permit the superintendent, with board approval, to establish additional requirements for promotion and retention. As a point of information, the rules and regulations were also revised to align with state law. Policy 5016, limited English proficient. The proposed revisions again align to changes in federal and state laws or regulations, including requirements for assessing and providing appropriate services to eligible EL students. Also, rules and regulations were also revised of that receipt. Policy 5023, family life education. Proposed revisions align requirements for family life education to the revisions in state law to include but not be limited to internet crimes against children, human trafficking in which the victim is a child, and human growth and development. It also authorizes the superintendent to develop procedures, and new rules and regulations as a point of information were established to provide guidance related to parental notifications and opt-out provisions. Policy 6047, school fees and debts. Proposed revisions to the policy are based on changes in state rules, clarifying what fees may be requested but not required. Policy 6060, school day. The proposed revisions are based on a new state law prohibiting LEAs from requiring students to participate in or attend a school athletic event or school athletic team event on a school holiday, an observed day of worship, or a religious holiday, and require students to be excused from regular school attendance to participate in release time courses if requested by the parent. As a point of information, we would like to make you aware that we also made revisions to the administrative rules and regulations to Policy 5004, graduation requirements, and Policy 5006, awarding credits, to align to statutory and regulatory revisions related to graduation requirements, approved course substitutions, and awarding credits. Thank you.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
We are now on to the consent agenda. Are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda?
Could I say something? I screwed up.
Dr. Schultz?
Ladies and gentlemen, I used to make a funny that I made a mistake once. 1955. I thought I was wrong, but I was mistaken. I dragged you through something that had no function tonight, where you move something to the consent agenda. The right to remove something from the consent agenda cannot be overcome by any vote. So I wasted some of your time, and I apologize. Be aware, she may now remove it from the consent agenda, even though you put it there.
Thank you, Dr. Schultz. Commissioner Murphy, Commissioner Hewitt Garcia, Commissioner McKinney.
I would like to remove 12.2, which is School Seed Foundation, the check for School Seed Foundation, and I would like to remove 11.11. Thank you.
Commissioner Hewitt Garcia.
I'd like to remove 11.7 Proximity Learning Incorporated. 11.7 Proximity.
You was gonna do one else, okay.
Are there more?
Commissioner Love, Vice Chair Love.
I would like to remove Parco contract renewal.
What's the number on it?
12 point.
We're on the 11s.
11.22.
11.22.
I have a question about it.
So 11.11, 11.22, 11.07, and the one that we moved.
12.2.
Yeah.
12.2.
Yep. Any others? That's it.
That's it.
Okay, so go ahead and read the ones that are staying.
11.1 approval memorandum of understanding between Memphis-Shelby County Board of Education and the Tennessee Department of Children's Services Shelby Region. 11.2 approval transition school to work grant in the amount of $380,497.12. 11.3 approval state special schools with exceptional education. 11.4 contract renewal, after school reporting center, the Pursuit Center, $320,000. 11.5 charter renewal timeline 2025 through 2026 publication. 11.6 2024 through 25, the Tennessee Investment in Student Achievement TISA Accountability Report. 11.7 was removed.
11.7 is gone.
11.8 contract approval MOU with Shelby County Sheriff School Resource Officer Program. 11.9 contract extension Diligence Corporation and Universal Security, $400,000. 11.10 contract renewal Dell Marketing Endpoint Protection Platform annual renewal, $822,242.64. 11.11 was removed. 11.12 contract approval Microsoft Office 365 A5 education software, $2,426,737.87. 11.13 contract approval governmental grant contract for the Tennessee Emergency Management Agency TEMA, $20,321.76. 11.14 contract approval Dexter School roof replacement Medford Roofing, $2,325,000. 11.15 contract approval A.B. Hill Elementary School roof replacement Carroll's Roofing, $1,535,326.05. 11.16 contract approval Treadwell Elementary Middle School roof replacement B4 Applied Incorporated. I don't have a dollar amount. 11.17 contract approval Georgian Hills Middle School roof replacement, $1,555,000. Contract approval, Bolton High School roof replacement, $4,568,343.30. 11.19, contract approval, Clark Power Service, district-wide generator preventive maintenance, $147,050. 11.20, contract approval, State Systems sprinkler system inspection, $261,450. 11.21, contract renewal, Service Master Clean, $10,220,049.96.
Next one's moved.
11.22 has been removed. 11.23, contract approval, district-wide elevator and lift preventive maintenance service, United Elevator Service, $217,313. 11.24, district-wide fire extinguisher preventive maintenance service, Johnson's Control, $212,360. 11.25, contract approval, district-wide fire alarm inspection, testing, monitoring, and maintenance, Johnson Controls, $677,729. 11.26, approve emergency connectivity fund repayment, $687,735.
The next one is nothing. The next one is just the approval of it. Need a motion in a second.
May I have a motion and a second to approve?
Before you do that, General Counsel just answered my question, so I can put the Parker back on the consent agenda.
What was the number on that? Do you remember? 11?
Yeah.
1122?
Yeah.
Go ahead and read that one. 11.22.
11.22, contract renewal, Parco LLC, $8,931,855.45.
Okay, now motion second.
Do I have a motion and a second to approve? Motion by Commissioner Otay, second by Vice Chair Love. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner McKissick,
Aye.
Commissioner Garcia,
Aye.
Commissioner Porter, Commissioner Murphy,
Aye.
Commissioner Love,
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney,
Aye.
Commissioner Otay,
Aye.
Commissioner Williams,
Aye.
Board Chair Coleman.
Aye.
You have 9 in the affirmative.
Thank you. That motion passes. The consent agenda passes. We're on now to request for action. Twelve point one, November 2024 Budget Amendment Resolution, Fund Balance Resolution. That was moved.
It's already there. Yeah, that's consent. It's on the action.
Did she announce it during the reading of the consent agenda? I don't think it was announced. Take a motion in a second and just vote quickly.
Motion by Vice Chair Love, second by Commissioner Otay. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner McKissick,
Aye.
Commissioner Garcia,
Aye.
Commissioner Porter, Commissioner Murphy,
Aye.
Commissioner Love,
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney,
Aye.
Commissioner Otay,
Aye.
Commissioner Williams,
Aye.
Board Chair Coleman.
Aye.
You have 9 in the affirmative.
That consent item passes. $12.2, approval resolution approving school seat donation in the amount of $45,635.33.
Motion to approve.
Second.
They beat me to it.
Nobody wants to talk about that?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Commissioner Murphy.
I ask that we have more discussion on 12.2 and we kick it back to committee. Yep.
The motion is to refer 12.2, the resolution approving school seed donation, back to committee.
That requires a second. It is moved and seconded to send to committee, send back to committee.
It is moved and second to send it back to committee.
As to whether to send it to committee.
You will vote as to whether you want to send it back to committee. If you don't want to send it back to committee, and we vote on it now,
If you want to send it to committee, vote yes. If you want to deal with it now, vote no.
when we deal with it now, what will we do?
If the motion to send to committee is lost, then it comes back before you in exact form it is, which is what you see on the page.
To accept it on that?
Yeah, to accept it. And you can decide if you want to accept it or not at that point. It's a question of whether you feel you need more information. If you need more information, go ahead and send it to committee to do some work.
Commissioner Hewitt Garcia?
I'm planning to vote no. I think if you need more information, get it right now, and let's deal with this and accept the donation.
Commissioner Murphy?
I vote yes. We need more. We need clarity on that. We need clarity. We need clarity.
The question is whether we're going to send it back to committee. Yes, it goes back to committee. No, we deal with it now. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner McKissick?
No.
Commissioner Garcia?
No.
Commissioner Porter?
No.
Commissioner Murphy?
Aye.
Commissioner Love?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner Otay?
Aye.
Commissioner Williams?
Aye and yes.
Board Chair Coleman?
No.
Okay,
It's
you have
going-
5 in the affirmative and you have 4 negative.
So it's going back to committee.
It's referred to committee.
It's referred back. So the funds can't be used. Is that correct?
I don't know. Not until you, not until you accept it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay. Legislative proposal.
2025 legislative proposal. (12.3) 2025 legislative proposal.
I move that we accept the legislative proposal.
I second it.
Roll call vote, please.
McKissick?
Aye.
Commissioner Garcia?
Aye.
Commissioner Porter?
Aye.
Commissioner Murphy?
Aye.
Commissioner Love?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner Otay?
Aye.
Commissioner Williams?
Aye.
Board Chair Coleman?
Aye.
You have 9 in the affirmative.
Thank you. That motion passes.
This is a resolution approving school seed donation.
You send it back to committee.
Next one is suspension of
11.7.
suspension of policy 2001 annual. What? Yeah, they're supposed to be here. It hasn't gotten put up on the computer apparently. What were the items that you added?
Item 12.1, all Memphis SEA training MOU. Okay, so I won't read numbers then. The next item was resolution for TVA donation. See that one? Okay, and then the final item was collaborative conferencing administrative committee for PECA.
What number is that?
The number
So those 3 items. So first item is All Memphis SEA Training MOU. The recommendation is for the board to approve the memorandum of understanding between Memphis-Shelby County Board of Education and All Memphis Incorporated. This is for the purpose of providing in-person training to our specialized education assistants in the spring of 2025. Essentially, this will provide 6 days of in-person training for our SEAs. All Memphis Incorporated is one of the district's strategic partners for literacy. They've demonstrated expertise in improving literacy instruction. They are accredited by the International Dyslexia Association. Our funding has been provided by Urban Child Institute, and so being able to provide these 6 days of in-person training for all of our specialized education assistants will be at no cost to the district.
Board Member McKinney.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I got questions.
Motion by Board Member McKinney, second by Commissioner Otay. Questions? Your line up.
I have a question.
Okay.
Is this just for this one or for all 3? Just for this one? Okay, I'm good. Okay.
Commissioner McKinney.
Yes. Has this MOU, since we just got it today, has this gone through legal?
Yes.
Then I'll ask legal to tell us about it, because we've just seen it.
Thank you, Board Member McKinney. I'm not aware that contract has been approved by our team. I can, Mary Bright, who's our contracts.
Dr. Miracle.
Good evening. In my newness to the district, I entered it into our green folder portal, and it was reviewed and approved, and I got that notification before I started it on the correct process to this body.
Which council?
I'm unsure. I'd have to go back and look at the notification in the system.
This. Go ahead.
Madam Superintendent, board members, I believe this item was submitted on the dashboard for the board, items that go before the board for approval. This item wasn't submitted through Contract Advantage, nor did it make it to the official agenda. So this MOU didn't come before us for review.
Dr. Miracle.
I apologize for the confusion. It's my fault.
Is it important to get it done today?
The question I have now is this: do you need this before we meet again in January?
We can. I mean, the scheduling of the training is at our discretion, so.
We would just ship the training.
Again, it's my apologies for not being familiar with the different process for contract review for this body versus other approvals. So, again, apologies.
No worries. I just want to make sure that we know what we're approving. So I would suggest that we bring this back once it goes through the proper channels. How do I remove my motion?
The way to deal with it, is there any objection to postponing indefinitely, which just gets rid of it? There being no objection, it's gone.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, the next one was a TVA.
Hold on, I got a couple.
Oh, sorry.
Commissioner Hugh Garcia, you had a question? Or comment, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I saw December 31st, but realized it was until then, 2025. I just want to acknowledge that there is no cost. I hope there, and thank you to partners who are supporting the district. So I feel confident that I want to support this. I just want to make sure it goes through the proper channels. So thank you for continuing to look for partnerships on behalf of the district.
Commissioner Murphy.
I think they answered my question. Let's move it to committee.
Commissioner McKinney.
Real quick, Dr. Miracle, that we're human. So thank you, and thank you to the partners. I'm very familiar with All Memphis. They do good work, but we need to make sure that we cross all our T's and dot all our I's. So please bear with us. Thank you.
TVA donation.
The recommendation is for the board to approve the $25,000 donation from Tennessee Valley Authority to sponsor Memphis-Shelby County Schools for STEM initiatives.
Motion to approve.
Commissioner Hewitt Garcia.
Oh, motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Hewitt Garcia, second by Commissioner Otay, and third by Commissioner Vice Chair Love.
No.
Roll call vote.
Just for this?
Yep.
Okay.
Just for this.
Okay, just for this. Okay, gotcha.
You want McKissick?
McKissick.
It's aye.
Commissioner Garcia.
Aye.
Commissioner Porter.
Aye.
Commissioner Murphy.
Aye.
Commissioner Love.
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney.
Aye.
Commissioner Otay.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Board Chair Coleman.
Aye.
You have 9 in the affirmative.
Thank you. That motion passes.
Just one more, the collaboration from the superintendent.
Superintendent.
The recommendation is for the Shelby County Board of Education to approve the Collaborative Conferencing Administrative Committee to participate in the PECA process. The names listed below, based on the skill set necessary for the 7 areas that the process restricts for conversation. Per statute, state statute, the board has to approve a committee to convene for collaborative conferencing.
We do not have the names.
It should be listed in the item. It's on mine. I'll read the names for the record. Is that accurate, Dr. Schultz? Okay. Dr. Angela Whitelaw, Dr. Taryn Stallworth, Miss Jessica Jackson, Tito Langston, Principal John Bush, Principal Wynn Earl, Felicia Freeney, Assistant Principal Whitney Evanson, Assistant Principal William Schumann, Dr. Kim Chandler, Ms. Catherine Wood.
Motion to approve.
Vice Chair Love.
What are we voting on?
Council Morton or Bailey, do you want to just review just the backdrop
For
of why this is
clarity.
required?
Yeah, so as part of the collaborative conferencing process under statute, the district is required to, for its side of negotiation, I guess, appoint 7 to 11 district staff to represent the district on the collaborative conferencing side. So this is simply approval by the board for the superintendent's recommendations for those district representatives in the collaborative conferencing process.
I want to be sure both unions are going to be treated fairly.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, the assumption or expectation is that, and the people that are chosen to represent the district are based primarily on their fields of expertise and skill sets. We know that, for instance, things like compensation, benefits, those types of things are what are up for negotiation. So that's how the district went about identifying the individuals who will represent the district. So I have every confidence that both sides will be treated fairly and respectfully.
Chair Coleman, she entertained a motion that Natalie and her were going to be on the committee.
Right, that was for the special questions committee for the balloting process.
Yeah.
This is for the actual representatives for the district during the collaborative conferencing process.
It's nothing to go back, y'all. The board is really done all that we're supposed to do for this. We just have to approve the names, if we will approve the names. I'm not gonna say we have to. Approve the names that superintendent just read off to go to the bargain table. That we really have done what we're supposed to do.
Madam Chair.
Hold on.
I'm sorry.
She had her light first.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, with all due respect, this is the first time I'm really hearing about it, and I don't feel comfortable with voting on something that I'm just not comfortable with.
Madam Chair, I just would like to illuminate to my colleagues and those who are newer on the board, there are many things that oftentimes come before the board that don't have advance, alert. We don't have the written names before us, but this truly is, as colleagues who've been on the board for a while, standard, and they typically get people who are representative from the two teachers unions, and then they handle that process, and then we are welcome as board members to sit in on a collaborative conferencing. We don't contribute at that level.
That's what I was talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
We can sit in, anyone, the public is welcome to sit in on this, but this really is standard. It's standard, and if we delay this, then it really does put a kink in the chain of this whole process, which can be lengthy. So I would ask my colleagues, I know that it may be new, right, but just to kind of, I plan to support this, to vote yes for this, because then it's incumbent upon this committee, and they have reached out to the teachers unions to get these names of those who are going to represent them. And so the district does not ask or pick those people. And so just to, it's just to move this process so it continues for the teachers and what they would like to accomplish and negotiate with the district. If we could support this for tonight, it would be a good thing.
And
thank you.
They are already behind. They should have started their collaborative conference on the 1st. If we put this off, we're putting them further and further behind. Only thing we're saying is that those names that Superintendent Fagans just read off will go to the bargaining table and give fair, objective ideas or suggestions to what the unions have said that they want to see or want done. Commissioner Williams.
I would like
hold on, Commissioner Williams. General Counsel first, and he can shed light on this, and then Commissioner Williams. I apologize.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was going to make a point of clarity that the associations actually picked their own representative. These are representatives for the district.
Yeah. Each union has their own people that they pick. Now these are district people. Commissioner Williams.
I'm thinking I would ask the board to delay this process for the simple fact that the process has been tainted, and it is under investigation. It is in litigation.
Point of order.
Hold on.
No.
Nope.
No.
Pardon?
The conflict of interest debate on the floor.
It's not. I'm talking about what is happening.
Mr. Williams.
Hold on. Let General Counsel talk.
Let me finish, and I will say what I need to say, and I am done. I'm saying that there are issues involved in the process, and I think the board needs to be made aware, because the board will ultimately be liable if there is a litigation.
No. Commissioner Huey Garcia.
I want to ask Board Member Williams to recuse himself from both the discussion and the vote, given his professional role.
Commissioner Murphy.
I had a question because I received this, and then I don't know if she's part of it. It's part of this organization, but her name is not on there, so they get to pick who they want after we approve this. So when we pick people to do stuff, we have to pick the right people to be in place versus somebody doing something they ain't supposed to be doing.
The only people that we are approving are the ones that the district has suggested. We're not approving the one that the two unions picked. We're only approving the ones that the district. You understand what I'm saying?
I got it. I understand perfectly.
So yeah, those are the people that we are here to approve. The ones that the district. Those names. Can we say the names again, please?
Dr. Angela Whitelaw, Dr. Taryn Stallworth, Ms. Jessica Jackson, Tito Langston, Principal John Bush, Principal Wynn Earl, Felicia Freeney, Assistant Principal Whitney Evanson, Assistant Principal William Schuman, Dr. Kim Chandler, and Catherine Woods.
Commissioner McKinney, you had something?
I just want to the best of my ability and understanding of the PECA law, PECA is this process is largely dictated by the statute, and everything that we are doing currently is in line with the statute. So we do not, as a board, have any authority to make the decision about who the administrators are. It's a process. I don't know why they wrote it this way, but basically it's a check off. The superintendent gets to make the administration, the law is very clear, the administration gets to pick who they want. We just have to approve it. And there's no discretion around that. It's a process, and it's dictated by the statute. So I just wanted to provide that clarity, if I could, for everybody.
Can we get a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Commissioner McKissick,
Aye.
Commissioner Garcia,
Aye.
Commissioner Porter, Commissioner Murphy,
No.
Commissioner Love,
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney,
Aye.
Commissioner Otay,
Aye.
Commissioner Williams, and Board Chair Coleman.
Aye.
You have 6 in the affirmative, you have 1 negative, and you have 1 abstain.
That motion passes. Is that all?
Is on suspension of a policy so that you can.
I think the chair added that to the floor. The board will need to suspend the policy again we are behind, if you will, in terms of establishing priorities, and so this will take us through December and get us to January. It expired in November.
So the motion is to suspend the policy and approve.
Suspend the policy and approve
The operating budget?
the operating budget.
It's the amendment to the operating budget.
This is the operating. Motion by Commissioner Otay, second by Commissioner McKinney.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair. I think the motion would just be to extend. Is that, yeah, not to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Otay.
It's,
You just let it go. We good. We on the same page.
We okay?
We already, you approved, she second. Roll call vote, please.
Miss
Go ahead, Superintendent.
Miss Stewart, can you just make sure we're getting it right? That's all.
Good afternoon. So what you did a couple of months ago, you suspended the policy, and the suspension of the policy ended last month. What you're doing this month is to extend the deadline to complete your priorities. And the extension date will take you through February. We added language in the policy to say that you will have to approve those priorities by the end of February. So it's actually an extension of the deadline. The original deadline in the policy was set for October. We're setting a new deadline for establishing those priorities as February of 2025. And that's just to give you some leeway in case you don't complete the priority process in January at the retreat.
So for clarity, it is to suspend the rule, and you want to approve the revision which extends to February. Okay, so it is to suspend and approve.
Okay, everybody good? Vote.
Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner McKissick,
Aye.
Commissioner Garcia,
Aye.
Commissioner Porter,
Aye.
Commissioner Murphy,
Aye.
Commissioner Love,
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney,
Aye.
Commissioner Otay,
Aye.
Commissioner Williams,
Aye.
Board Chair Coleman.
Aye.
You have 9 in the affirmative.
That motion passes. Ms. Stewart, will you come back one more time and update us about the committee charters?
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon again. I think it was either in the August or the September meeting, Board Chair, you assigned committee chairs, but the charters actually expired in October. So you have to have new charters for all of your committees, with the exception of your Audit, Budget, and Finance. Your Audit, Budget, and Finance Committee is a standing committee. All other committees are ad hoc. And by standing committee with the Audit, Budget, and Finance, that means that it goes on indefinitely unless you change the charter. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't have new chairs and co-chairs assigned, but the charter itself will stand indefinitely. And again, for your ad hoc committees, you have to have a charter each year.
So these just make legal all of your ad hoc committees. Everybody good?
Motion to approve. Second.
Commissioner Hewitt Garcia, motion, second by Commissioner McKissick. You got a question?
I am waiting.
Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner McKissick,
Aye.
Commissioner Garcia,
Aye.
Commissioner Porter, Commissioner Murphy,
Aye.
Commissioner Love,
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney,
Aye.
Commissioner Otay,
Aye.
Commissioner Williams, Board Chair Coleman.
Aye.
You have 9 in the affirmative.
1107 didn't get put over on it.
That motion passes.
I'll look it up.
We're looking at proximity learning,
1107. Proximity. Yeah.
11.7, proximity learning.
Here's the rest of it.
Commissioner Hewitt Garcia, Commissioner Murphy.
Thank you. Superintendent, in our one-on-one, I asked a clarifying question following the board discussion from work session, and that we put an RFP out for this, and they were the only respondents, but this is for 6 months. And if I'm remembering correctly, we had I remember something about there being 3 years. Is it possible to have a contingency vote for a longer term that is subject to board funding each budget cycle, or a 1-year renewal, so the team does not have to go through the RFP process to do this, and we only allocate the dollars that are needed?
So thank you for the question. We don't have to put the RFP out again. The reason that it just goes through, or we're making the recommendation for it to just go through June 30th, 2025, is because that keeps us in the current budget year, and we've allocated these funds in the current budget. And so the optional years, we would just bring back, as we've done with several contracts, that we're recommending to the board to use the additional 1 year of 3 years, or, however the language reads. And so we do not have to go, just for clarity, we would not have to go put an RFP back out. We can continue this in the next year if we, believe that this is effective. And then we would go through the year. So we're just going through the balance of our budget year, because the funds are allocated in the current budget year.
Okay. A follow-up question. This is the total dollar amount for up to 100 for proximity. I understand there are education assistants that have to be part of the classroom, or assigned to one of those classrooms. Are there additional costs of this contract that are not reflected in this $4.6 million?
Additional costs?
Yes, for engaging or utilizing the services. I believe that we have vacancies and that there is merit here, and we have data, but I just want to know if there are additional costs that are outside of this contract for utilizing it.
So in terms of what you're sharing, there's the contract itself, and then yes, to place an assistant in there, because that's the requirement when there's a virtual instructor, is to have someone in the classroom, then that bears a cost. Certainly we have, some PCNs available, but yes, in terms of outside of the contract as written, there are additional costs that come along with standing up individuals for proximity learning.
So we could assume that groups of children already have an adult with them in some form. Okay.
That's right.
Thank you.
Commissioner, I'm going to just go down the line. Commissioner McKissick, Commissioner Murphy.
Thank you. I was waiting for me to be called on. So, formally, I want to follow all the proper protocols, Dr. Schultz. Madam Chair, I wanted to speak to Superintendent, a bit of a sidebar regarding the individuals who are the assistants in the classroom. As you know, it was brought up in public comment tonight regarding the requirements of standards for those individuals. And I know this is something that perhaps can't be addressed at this moment, but is that a possibility to reconfigure? Because if someone has a 4 years bachelor's degree, I'm wondering just how many of those people are going to want to be in this type of assistant role. I don't know. I'm not sure what that level of interest would be, but just as we are struggling with trying to fill teacher replacements in the classrooms to increase our talent pool for that, is there opportunity to explore that?
Short answer is yes. It's a delicate balance of ensuring that who we still have in our classrooms, although they are not the lead or main instructor, still giving consideration to who is in our classrooms with our students. And so while I'm not trying to say that a bachelor's degree is equated to being, a quality individual, I think just that's some of the thinking there, but certainly the opportunity to just explore, different ways forward. Yes.
Like perhaps an associate's degree?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Madam Chair, Superintendent, I think my questions were answered by Commissioner Garcia and Commissioner McKissick, so I was just concerned about the 6 month, and if we could extend it for a year, but you answered that question, so thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Vice Chair Love, Commissioner McKinney.
Correct me if I'm wrong. But there have been contracts multi-years. Superintendent.
Question. I apologize. I didn't want to cut you off. I will say yes, there have been multi-year contracts. I wouldn't be able to speak to how many, but I think the short answer is safe to say yes.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, why don't you want to give Proximity a 3-year contract?
I want to be clear, it's not that I don't want to.
Yeah.
So I do want to correct that. It's not that
Action,
yes.
correct.
Yes, ma'am.
I will restate my question. I agree with Amber Garcia. We don't have to give them a 6-month lease. We can extend it for 3 years. The issue with that, I don't want the same thing to happen this year, next year, that happened this year. Our schools need to have everything they need beginning of school. I have went to all of these schools, and they're begging for teachers. They're begging for us to do something. I don't want to happen this year, next year, that happened this year.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely understood. And so to your question and your valid concern and your feedback all together, I will say that this is not going to fix it, right? We're still limited to who they can provide. And so it's up to this number of teachers in the areas that they have in terms of certification. And then those certifications have to align with our needs. And so we're still going to have some vacancies. In terms of what you're sharing about the contract and its length, I would not feel comfortable bringing the board a recommendation to bind us to something in this regard for sure. In terms of we've given the data, in terms of effectiveness and what we get out of it in terms of performance on end of course exams. And so while it suffices and satisfies, a need, I would not bring us a recommendation for a multi-year contract in this moment. And to the larger concern or the larger response is what I shared earlier. This keeps us within the budget that we've already allocated the funds, which is through June. So as you hear us start to have the budget conversations, this time moving forward, then you'll hear us build this in as well for the upcoming budget.
I have another question.
Yes, ma'am.
The superintendent brings us a budget request, and then we approve it based on the board's decision. Correct?
Does the superintendent bring the board a recommendation for a budget?
Yeah.
And then does the board approve, or after conversation and feedback, does the board then approve? Yes, that is the process.
So we want this. I do, because I am tired of my schools complaining. How much is it for 6 months versus a year?
I don't know the number off the top, so I'd have to get that for you. What I will say is that we built this into the budget. So this was a part of the budget that was presented and approved in June. This is earmarked in terms of utilizing a vendor, if you will, for virtual instruction to provide support. This was not something that we removed from the budget. So this already has been allocated as we used Proximity last year. I think I shared how we landed with placing the RFP out. It's been very clear that not one board member guides that particular action, but that's how we essentially landed with placing the RFP out. We still received the same vendor, but this has always been allocated in the budget.
So there is money to allocate it to a month.
Yes, there's money there's money allocated for the time and what is used, if you will.
You said that there was money allocated in the summer months.
Based on what we used last year, in or around that same amount has been allocated in the budget? The team would have to correct me if I'm wrong, or you can sharpen my response, Mr. Langston.
Thank you, Superintendent, board members. So to your question, Board Member Love, your first question was, do we sometimes do multi-year contracts? Yes, if it's beneficial for the district and we can lock in pricing. What I can tell you for this project, that is, the pricing is locked in already. We have this currently, if you approve this tonight, this is currently in the budget. If you're wanting to extend it next year, we're going to start next year off with having to keep this in the budget. And if that's the will of the board, then it's fine. But right now, we haven't started a budget process or finalized a budget process for next year. You asked how much this would possibly be for 12 months. Well, this is for 6 months. If you double it, then you're talking about close to a $9–10 million purchase, which again, from a fiscal standpoint, it's recommended by GASB standards that you go year by year as you're setting your budget. So it wouldn't be beneficial because you have all the rights and by RFP standards to renew this contract as we see fit in May. So as we go through the budget process, if board members, if we earmark this line, figure out what it takes to stand a full year for the budget for this particular contract, then we can bring it back in May or June, and we'll be still on track to start the school year off next year in August when school starts with this very contract. So, but from a fiscal standpoint, it's not recommended that you go across multiple years, especially with this high dollar amount for any contract. The only contracts that you may consider doing it is for transportation and custodial, but as Board Member Hugh Garcia always allude to, those are fixed and mandated costs that we know we have to have in the budget. This is something that is a cost that's not fixed and mandated. Our first instruction, preferably, is an in-person instruction, which is why we stood up so many hiring blitzes in the first place. But again, from a fiscal standpoint, it wouldn't be, it doesn't benefit us to go across multiple years because we have every right to renew this contract in May if the board sees fit to approve a budget with this in it next year.
Commissioner McKinney, Commissioner McKissick.
Thank you. I think what I'm hearing from my fellow board members is the concern that we're not in the same space next year. We have, this has impacted our middle school and high school students for the past 6 months with apparently with no certified teachers in the classroom, or not enough certified teachers available. So I think that my fellow board members, Superintendent, they're trying to stress that we can't have this gap again. Because I don't know where we're going to get the miracle of a bunch of certified teachers in 6 months. I wish we could do it, but we need to plan ahead and be innovative about it. I have a question about how many students have actually been impacted by the fact that we have not had these proximity learning teachers available for the past 6 months. That's one question. The next question is, what have we been doing since August 5th, not having this available?
So I do want to emphasize that this is a national challenge, and we review the data, and we're all aware, but just making sure that we state that. And we even review data. I sit on the state's committee for the educator pipeline, and we review national data today. This is also a state issue in rural areas, in small districts, large districts. We just happen to be hit the most and the hardest because we're the largest. In terms of how many students are impacted, I can't say it's because we don't have proximity learning, but in terms of how many vacancies we have, I share those vacancies monthly in terms of what the work looks like. Where a student or where a certified teacher could go is based on what proximity says they have available and what we need. So if we need 80 or 67 exceptional education teachers, we know that won't help there. If we need 37 math teachers, they may not have that many certified math teachers available through proximity. So it's based on what area or content area they have. So that's why I wouldn't be able to share how many students could be impacted just because we don't have a proximity
how many
teacher.
students are currently impacted right now without proximity learning students in it. When I look at the documents, you're able to tell me how many students over the past, I guess that's 3 years or so, that have been impacted, that had proximity learning. So proximity learning teachers. So my question is, there has to be some projection, some number that we're basing why we're asking for 100 proximity learning teachers in the first place. So what's the projected number of students that have been impacted currently this semester that we are now needing proximity learning teachers for?
So the projected, the number of teachers is based on what we have allocated in the budget, which is about 5 million. So that's how we arrive at the number of teachers that we could have. The number of students who were impacted in previous years is because proximity was already available. Again, until we know the list and see the list of teachers, if you will, that are certified through proximity and their content area, we would not know how many students could then benefit from having said teacher in their class.
So currently, we do not know how many students are currently being impacted by not having a proximity learning teacher.
By not having a teacher in general, that means they might have a sub or something like that. Then that would go in our vacancy numbers. I think our latest vacancy number was 337. 312, we're down.
So let's say times 30, because what is it? 30 kids in a classroom, and it depends on if it's middle school or high school, because you're going to have different sections. I think it's I'll give you time to answer the question, but I think I've asked it several different ways. But I'll give you some time, and we can get clarity, because I don't want to keep us here going around and around. The next thing I want to talk about is. I'm concerned that we don't have a true budget number. We know that it's 4.6 million for the proximity learning, but we also have in the bids and purchases that a non-certified staff is requested to be present in each proximity class to support in-person students' needs. So I think at the board work session, I asked, would that require us to have hire more people? And I think your answer was yes. So I'm now asking, what is the budget, what's the dollar amount for that? Does this require, that's one, and does this require us to have new positions? Or do we have enough that are open already? And if we do have them open, then it's really not a budgetary issue. But my question becomes, do we have to hire more people, which means new positions?
Do we have to hire more positions? Yes, we do, because we did not allocate for these positions. Do we know how many we would need? That would be based on where the teacher would fit. So we're talking about sections as opposed to the number of vacancies, right? That means, you get what I'm saying there so far? Okay.
I completely
So that
understand.
means sections as opposed to just vacancies. It's not a match to match. And so that's why it's not I can give you this many students until we know which classes could potentially be served by a teacher from proximity learning.
So we're going back to students. I'm on positions. So
They go together.
Okay. So let me be clear. We're going to have new positions. So that means that the ones we cut, we could have used because we had proximity learning. So we now have to bring those positions back for proximity learning. So there is a cost to that, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So that's the cost that we need, that we don't have. And I think that's what Board Member Hewitt Garcia was asking, was what's the true cost of this contract?
feel like what you're asking me to do is to pin down a number that we don't have unless we know that this contract is approved. What comes in addition to this contract would be additional materials. That could be headphones that students might need. That could be supplies that they might need. So that's what I was referring to Board Member Hewitt Garcia's question about, are there additional costs associated with this contract that are not written in this 4.6 million or so contract? So that answer was yes. In terms of costs that you're asking about associated with personnel, we'd have to go to the table and see what that looks like. Again, we're not talking about the number of vacancies matching the number of assistants that would be necessary, because that one assistant can be in a class that serves 5 sections. And so it is not a equal to equal. So we can take our time and we can get the response to you, but in this moment I don't have a dollar amount.
Okay, and I think that's the answer. You don't have it, we need it, because we need to know what that's gonna do to our budget.
Can I make a suggestion that we take this back to committee to get more clarity?
No, we can, excuse me, Madam Chair.
Well, I mean, we
Recognize
just
me, my
going
light's been
around
on for quite some time.
We're going around in a circle.
Well, I'd like to bring some clarity to illuminate this as well, because right now we need to focus on what's best for the children currently in the seats. And so the 6-month extension, it is completely within the purview of this board to dictate what we do with the next budget cycle and the funds for that. We can absolutely say that. This is not the tail wagging the dog situation here. We have that control. So I think I would love for us to focus on, addressing the concern and the issues we have right now for the next 6 months. And I would like to recommend to close this debate so that we can actually call for a vote. Yeah, I'm moving. I'm moving it.
Oh, okay.
You can't. You can. He said you can.
I move to vote now.
The question,
second.
the motion before you is the previous question. It takes a 2/3 vote to adopt, and it stops debate, and you will vote immediately if it's adopted. Everybody good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Roll call vote.
Second, it's not debatable.
A motion, Commissioner Love, you motion.
McKinney made the motion.
McKissick.
I'm sorry, McKissick.
McKissick.
I'm sorry. McKissick made the motion. It's not debatable. It's not amendable. You're either going to do it or you aren't. It takes a 2/3 vote. If 2/3 of you vote in the affirmative, then debate and questions stop, and you vote this thing.
Can I get a second, please? Vice Chair Love, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner McKissick,
Aye.
Commissioner Garcia,
Aye.
Commissioner Porter,
Aye.
Commissioner Murphy,
Aye.
Commissioner Love,
Reluctantly, aye.
Commissioner McKinney,
I'll try the reluctantly aye.
Commissioner Otay,
Aye.
Commissioner Williams, Board Chair Coleman.
Aye.
We have 9 in the affirmative.
Thank you, that motion passes.
Now you vote this thing. You're done talking. Now you're going to vote on it. You just closed debate. That's all you did.
So now we're voting on the contract
Roll call vote on this item of business.
for proximity learning for $4,690,796.40. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner McKissick,
Aye.
Commissioner Garcia,
Aye.
Commissioner Porter,
Aye.
Commissioner Murphy,
Aye.
Commissioner Love, Commissioner McKinney,
Aye.
Commissioner Otay, Commissioner Williams, Board Chair Coleman.
Aye.
We have 9 in the affirmative.
That motion passes. 11.11, Commissioner Murphy.
I motion to postpone indefinitely.
We're going to do subsidiary motions. Let's get a motion and a second first. This is 1111, which is the contract for buying computers. $20 million
Can we have a motion and a second to adopt, and then we'll
Motion
do
to
debate?
adopt.
Commissioner McKinney,
Second from McKissick.
second by Commissioner McKissick. Roll call vote.
No, it's open for debate.
Discussion.
You go to Ms. Murphy.
Ms. Murphy, Commissioner Murphy.
I motion to postpone indefinitely.
The motion to postpone indefinitely requires a second. If it is adopted, then this piece of business simply goes away. And you will not be buying anything for $20 million.
Roll call vote.
Can you please clarify what this particular vote on, since I put a motion on the floor? What are we exactly voting on at the moment?
If you vote yes on the motion to postpone indefinitely, this piece of business will not be before the assembly anymore. It can come back at the next meeting. Yes, it can come back at the next meeting.
So, Madam Chair, so Dr. Schultz, what happens to the motion that I moved that we vote on as it stands right now? What happened to that one?
If you vote yes on this, that motion goes away. If you vote no, that means you're going to deal with this motion.
Okay, thank you.
No, one's a subsidiary motion. You have one main motion, which is to buy the computers. This is a motion to kill that sucker. Get it out from in front of you. We're getting into the weeds. Vote yes if you don't want to deal with this piece of business.
Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner McKissick,
No.
Commissioner Garcia,
No, if we don't want to. This is for Commissioner Murphy's postpone indefinitely.
This is to postpone indefinitely.
No.
No means that you gonna deal with it now. Yes means you're gonna postpone it indefinite.
Confident, no.
Commissioner Porter,
Yes.
Commissioner Murphy.
Yes.
Commissioner Love. Oh, she left, okay. Commissioner McKinney,
No.
Commissioner Otay,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Board Chair Coleman.
Yes.
You have 5 in the affirmative, then you have 3 negatives, and you have 1 absent.
We'll have to do something to bring it back.
We're gonna bring it back.
So
I'll
you
bring
do
it
have
back.
5 votes in the affirmative. The motion is not before the assembly.
Madam Chair and Board, I will want to place on the record that this will greatly impact our students in terms of the devices that we need to move forward. We do have testing that is coming up. We do have significant needs. I do want to place that before this body. I understand the vote has taken place, but I do believe as superintendent, I need to state for the record that the timing is of the essence, and this places us in a real predicament, and I think we understand where we are with technology just in general, but I just want to state that for the record.
Okay, the vote's been announced. You need to announce what happens. It is postponed indefinitely.
It is postponed indefinite. We are now on to strategic allocations items. I will read no, I ain't reading all that. Approval resolution approving MSCS board member strategic school fund allocations November 2024 in the total of $97,746. Is there a motion to approve this item?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
McKissick,
Aye.
Garcia,
Aye.
Porter,
Aye.
Aye. Commissioner Murphy. Commissioner Love. She gone. Commissioner McKinney.
Aye.
Commissioner Otay.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Board Chair Coleman.
Aye. We have one more that we did not vote on, the compliance report.
Yeah, there it is. LEA compliance report.
It's
Need a motion and a second.
motion and a second.
Motion to,
Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner McKissick.
Aye.
Commissioner Garcia.
Aye.
Commissioner Porter. Commissioner Murphy.
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney.
aye.
Commissioner Otay.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Board Chair Coleman.
Aye.
You have 8 in the affirmative and 1 person out.
That motion passes. Being no further business, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you for your patience.
So we're not gonna ever be able to buy any with school Title I money? Exactly. So wait a minute. So what happened with the orders of, like, schools have put in their grants for laptops? So we're gonna have to go back and rewrite the grant?